Mexican restaurant. What's more festive than Cinco de Mayo, which is basically a nothing holiday, correct? It's completely made up. It's not even, it used to say it was Mexican Independence Day. It's not even that, right? It celebrates some battle somewhere or something. Doesn't matter. Cinco de Mayo it is, and we hope you have a great one today. We got a fine show lined up for you. A little bit later, we're going to talk about Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports in the news, and he's a bit of a grandstander, but this time it's something completely different for him that is spot on. I think he's nailed it this time. It's going to be pretty cool. We're going to talk about a teacher in Maine that wants Trump to die and what should happen to someone like that when the feds go and investigate this person. And, of course, we had some nice sports moments over the weekend. We'll check in with Mark at the end of the show on that and much more as the Royals' bats are popping. They had 7 home runs and a victory yesterday. They went 5-1 on their road trip. Pretty tasty stuff. They're back home against the White Sox. Cole Reagan's back out there tonight. So the Royals have it going on. We're going to start the week, though. We give a lot of credit to Donald Trump, saying he knows how to use media. He knows how to influence people. The Democrats don't know how to do it, that they just don't have the mojo, that they don't have the vibes. They're always looking for the vibes, or they're looking for this or that. And that may be true when they're simply talking about politics, but to me, that's fundamentally rooted in the fact that they don't have the issues on their side. And when you don't have the issues on your side, it becomes difficult. You have to basically convince people to vote for you or your party for other reasons. And we have seen through the years how they love to play the victim card. Now, I'm not going to say these 3 people that I'm mentioning here to start the show today are all Democrats. I'm not, at least one of them 100% is. And they probably all, well, 2 of them are guaranteed. The third, maybe. I wouldn't know. But this is one of those things that really drives me crazy. I'm all for capitalism. I'm all for going out and following your dream and making the money or doing whatever you can possibly do. Anything you want to do, go live your life. But when you are making everything that you do, everything that you make, everything that you are, is some sort of victim label, I have a real distaste in my mouth over things like that. We had a stunning world record or national record crowd here Friday night at CPKC Stadium, which is the women's soccer stadium downtown, as Team USA female rugby played against Canada. And we're pretty good, but we're not the best in the world, okay? And 10,600 and some showed up, and it was a record crowd for a women's rugby tournament match. It's the American Eagles. Pretty cool name. I like this. It's Team USA. I'm good with all this. And to be clear, in the sport of rugby, everyone out there playing, every woman is strong and tough, and they're not trying to do like these Cavender twins at Miami, the basketball girls or whatever. They're not trying to do that. They're not trying to make their money as in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue until Sports Illustrated calls them and says, we want you to pose because our whole thing is going to be anti-body shaming. We want to show everyone that you look like a man, and that's okay too, even if you're a woman. And so the big draw for this match on Friday night was Alona Marr. She's from Vermont. She won a medal last year in Paris, the Olympics, but made most of her news away from the games, claiming that there were people bullying her from all over the world about taking steroids and looking like a man, and people that continually say you're transgender, and she has denied that she is. Brittany Griner, the basketball star, has repeatedly denied that she is transgender. I don't know who is what, folks. That's not my area. But my area is the reason that place was full, and the reason Alona Marr was on Dancing with the Stars last year and has modeled for magazines and has millions of followers now on social media and is making a pile of money, is just by playing the victim. Everybody's picking on me because I'm a big, strong woman and I play rugby, and they don't think that's possible. Yes, of course it's possible. I don't know if you are or you aren't. The rest of the world seems to be convinced that there's something nefarious going on here with the American rugby team, that Alona Marr shouldn't be able to play. I don't have a say in this. I really wouldn't know, but it's a classic example of I'm different. The world accepts that. I go out and this is who I am. Is she a great rugby player? She's on Team USA, so she's among the very best in this country. What she's really great at is going on the reality shows and letting the left do what? I can't call it exploitation. It's not, because you're going along with it. Nobody goes along with exploitation. So it's not really that. It's just this willful victimhood that I'm in this box. I look different than everyone else. The whole world picks on me. So, come support me in my quest to be courageous. We see this all over the place. This is a really weirdo here. This is a dude from Calgary, Alberta. Self-described non-binary femme, F-E-M-M-E. Come on, seriously, I don't know. This person's a country singer and went to Nashville to record his album. His name is Robert Adam. And he's gone back to Calgary after recording his album in Nashville and says, unfortunately, I cannot come to America and play any of my songs. I'm boycotting America because Trump is president. Now, I'm guilty right now of doing this because nobody's ever heard of Robert Adam. But now he's going to be this famous guy in Canada that's anti-Trump, and all the people are going to jump on board. Not exactly your country music hotbed of an audience, the anti-Trumpers, but it might play well in Canada. I'm not sure. This guy, you should see pictures of this dude. I mean, I don't know whether he's a cowboy or a cowgirl. I guess that's what non-binary is, right? He's playing both cards. I don't know. But I would just say this to Mr. Adam: stay in Canada. It's just fine with us. I don't want to come to your show. I don't know what that is. The last victim this weekend was one who had the podium at the White House for several years, the early years of the Biden presidency, Jen Psaki. You've seen her. You remember her. Red hair. Probably 10, 15, 20 times as good at her job as her successor was. Jen Psaki, I didn't agree with her politics, but she certainly handled the job better. And so she did that for a couple of years. Then she parlays that into a fat contract at MSNBC or CNN, whichever network she's on. And she goes and does a show. And she's upset over the last month that a book has come out about all these cover-ups in the Biden administration, that they refused to have a cognitive exam done for him. They all thought it was a good idea, but they thought if it doesn't turn out well, we have a constitutional crisis. So it was, hear no, see no, speak no. They wouldn't do the right thing by America. That's about as Democrat as it gets. Let's worry about ourselves first and the people second. So it's all come out. And the only people apparently that are surprised by this is people on the left. Because I've yet to read one thing that I didn't think happened already. I believe that in a meeting it came up, should we give the old man a test? And their answer was no, we're not giving the old man a test. So Jen Psaki slapping back now, saying there was no cover-up. Cover-up is something you describe crimes because remember, cover-up is related to Watergate and Nixon, and that's the other party, and we can't use that term cover-up. We didn't commit any crimes in the White House, but she goes out of her way. This is unreal because she's getting lumped in and she feels like a victim right now. Like, okay, because she had a pretty heavy role, more than Karine Jean-Pierre. She was in the Oval Office every day. Like she was active and in the meetings. Jen Psaki was a player in the administration, and she got out in 2022. She wants everyone to be very clear that when she was there was nothing like this, but, quote, aging happens quickly, unquote, and it may have happened after I left. I mean, they're all just scrambling. They're all just scrambling at this point. I don't know how they fix their brand. I really don't. And I think far more than Trump, they're attached to COVID and what happened during COVID. I think that people look at Biden and that administration for locking down and doing things that we would not do again, that looking back, most of us would agree were wrong, especially what we did with kids was wrong. But certainly with seniors and some others, there were just things that we got wrong. And I think they wear this. I think this is all generational. I'll tie this into how we finished last week, because I played a clip from a Reagan speech last week from 1982. And all I know is my generation, the people I went to college with and whatever, it felt like when I see these SEC dudes chanting now at the Trump rallies and whatnot, that's what K-State felt like when I was there in the 80s. Like every guy I knew in college was Reagan. We loved Reagan. Every single dude. Didn't talk to girls that much about it, but every guy, we knew. I feel like that's happening again, and I think it was generational. I think there were people born within about a 15-year period that were coming into their first elections to vote that voted for Reagan and became Republicans for life. I think that's happening again, and I think the Democrats know it, and I think all this he said, she said stuff is completely counterproductive. It can't possibly help their brand, but they don't seem to have an answer. Trump did this interview with Kristen Welker over the weekend, and it was terrific. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It was actually pretty fair by her this time. And she asked things of substance, like, what about this third term thing? And she wasn't trying to fight with him. And he said, no, I don't think I can do it. I just want to have 4 great years. And she says, what about MAGA? Does that die with you when you're out of office? He goes, no, I don't think so. We have great candidates. And then, Trump, he starts riffing like, I mean, we ought to win in 4 years. Who are they going to trot out there? And he starts talking about crazy Bernie being 87 years old or whatever and all this other stuff. And it's true. They don't have a brand. They don't have a person. Their identity, their polling is really low right now. And a big reason why is they run around out there and tell you how to live your life. They shame you. They try to control you. And then whenever it gets hot in their kitchen, they're always the victim. It was never their fault. There's some more classic examples today. That's what I see out of that party. Maybe you see something different. 913-408-7957. If you'd like to join the show, I've got open phone lines right now. That's 913-408-7957. I must have run into 7 or 8 people over the weekend, listen to the show, and say, I want to call the show sometime. I'm like, call the show. Don't say you're going to do it. Call the show. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I'd love to call. Call the show. 913-408-7957. You are always welcome here on Uncanceled.
Kevin Kietzman is Uncanceled and back on Kansas City Radio, 10 to 11 a.m. on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
I hope everybody had a great weekend and your week is off to a great start. I had the worst best day ever yesterday. It was probably the single best day of the year to play golf. There was no wind. And we went out on a beautiful sunny day, played out at Falcon Ridge. Shout out to Jay Elzy and his team out at Falcon Ridge and the work that they do there. They're awesome. We had a great day. And my game was so bad. I seriously, about halfway through, I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to play again. And I'm okay. I'm a decent player. There's just something about golf. And everything I hit on the range was perfect. And then I get out there, off into the rough, hit a tree, in the bunker. It just absolute nightmare. But what a gorgeous day. That's the best part about being. If you have a bad day golfing, it's still a pretty darn good day. We were out in the sunshine on a beautiful day. Very nice. To the phones we go, 913-408-7957. Here is Jerry in Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled. Jerry, how are you today?
I'm good, Keats. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you.
Well, speaking of Falcon Ridge, I mean, I used to work for the guy that built that course and still a friend of mine today. But
what is his name?
Rustum.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah.
But at any rate, the reason for my call is I was wanting to share my disgust with the way things are going with regard to, I mean, I love Trump, don't misunderstand, but the way things are going with regard to holding these people accountable for their deception, for their crimes, for all the things that they're getting away with it, and it just drives me nuts.
Can you give me an example?
Oh, like, for example, the stuff that Adam Schiff does.
Okay.
Goes out and just lies and lies and lies. Mark Elias, for another. He blamed Trump for everything, and it was him and his party and Hillary that did everything that was underhanded and shady. Just on and on and on, the swamp.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to jail him for lying. What you can do is, and I think they're working on this with Adam Schiff, they've been working on some campaign finance stuff that's pretty ugly looking for him, I think. And that's where they go after. If they can find political money, the paper trails, and all the documents, then you might have something. I'm a little different than most, and I know this audience well, and I know everybody wants a pound of flesh, and you want people locked up. I'm serious about this. I don't care what happened in the past. I am so ready to move America forward. I really don't want to spend all our time with this 4 years that we've got trying to catch the bad guys from years past when we could be doing things to improve the future. I feel very strongly about that.
I'm right there with you on that. I mean, I want to move forward as well. But see, unfortunately, there's so many things that are continuing as we speak. I mean, it's just the media, they get on, the mainstream media, they get on the air and they start spreading these lies. This, I want to say disinformation, but that's a term that the left uses.
Right.
But I mean, it's just, they just spread lies, and they are not helping America move forward.
Yeah, I'm with you. Good call, buddy. I appreciate it. You're right. They're definitely not. And they do all these silly things like go to El Salvador for their 15 minutes of fame and get their name out there with a terrorist, illegal alien. And then here we are. It's been a couple of weeks now. They're all backing off that thing. They're like, we didn't mean specifically him. We were talking about due process. If you want to talk about oligarchs and due process and you're trying to get votes down in the weeds like that, that's not where the votes are. That's not how you get people to vote for you, is get them to hate oligarchs. Most people don't have any idea what an oligarch is, and they don't really care about due process for illegal aliens. I'm sorry, they don't. I know there are laws and protocols and things that we have to do with people that are here illegally, okay? They don't have the same rights maybe you and I do, but there are certain rights that they have by being here. I understand that there is some due process, but nobody cares. That's what the Democrats don't understand. The dude is an MS-13. Nobody cares whether he got his due process. I'm not kidding. Now, hey, some 25-year-old single mom with a little baby, yeah, we want to make sure this is done right. Get him back home, whatever it is that we're doing, whatever. Yes. That was the whole point of this. Trump was singling these people out as the criminal element. They are the first to go. And now the administration is going to be offering flights out of the country to deport yourself. And apparently they're wanting to give you $1,000 when you hit the ground on the other side to get you started. Go home. They say that's cheaper than any other way. because we don't have to control it all at the border. We can put you on a flight to your home country and give you what's what we're doing to bring them. We were flying them in and giving them a card with money on it. It's the same thing. We're just doing it in reverse. Would I rather everybody just leave on their own? Yes. But those that find it problematic or can't walk across the border or don't have money for a plane ticket, let's go. There's empty seats somewhere. Work it out with the airlines. Work it out with the military. Let's go. Let's move them all. And I think they're working toward that. So Dave Portnoy is the founder of Barstool Sports. You've probably heard the name, maybe seen his commercials. He does some things with Tunnels to Towers and some other things. And he's kind of a bomb thrower. And he does one thing that really bothers me. He tries to play the left and the right, and he's not. He's clearly conservative. And I don't know why he can't just say it. Now, I guess it's his money or his business or whatever, so he's worried about it. But I wish that he would. He tries to play both sides. And normally what he'll do is when somebody screws up, he's got such a big social media following, he'll just ruin that person. Like he'll just go on and call them the most horrific, awful, vulgar names you've ever heard. He will notify their parents. He does all this stuff and just destroys people. He's a destroyer. And to this point, he's normally right. He's doing it to somebody who did something wrong, but it's not the right way to do it. Maybe he's growing up. Maybe he's changed. I don't know. But he's got a bar. He's got a restaurant. And he's fired 2 waitresses from an incident that have happened in the last few days and a couple of patrons there who ordered and brought in a sign that said, F the Jews, into his bar. And the waitresses were talking about it. So he fired the 2 waitresses. The other 2 were patrons. He took to social media here within the last 24 hours and said, I was going to blow these guys up. I was going to call their parents. I was going to ruin their lives. I was going to do all this. He said, I've decided to do something different. He's buying them plane tickets, hotel room, and cash to go visit Auschwitz. He wants to send them to Auschwitz and say, instead of being a stupid kid that doesn't know why you're holding up a sign, some professor somewhere told you that this is the thing to do, and you're just doing it in my bar where I don't want it, I'm going to use this as a teaching moment, and I'm going to fund your trip, and I want you to go over there and go through the museum and see it all and learn all the history, and then see if you're a different person when you come back. Now, that's some positive change right there. I like that. He doesn't want to make these 2 famous. I don't think he will. But I think they will be enlightened. They will learn. They will see some things that they're not teaching this in school, folks. They're not teaching in school like they taught us. It's not happening. So I applaud Dave Portnoy for doing that. That's a little bit of a change up for him, a curveball, if you will, and we appreciate that. All right, much more ahead coming up on Uncanceled. If you'd like to join us, call us at 913-408-7957. I'm Kevin Kietzman, KCMO Talk Radio. Uncanceled continues right after these messages.
From the nation's heartland, it's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.
Joanna St. Germain is a high school teacher in Waterville, Maine, and she published a series of posts this past week on Facebook advocating for political violence. She writes, quote, "Trump and his cronies need to die." She openly fantasizes about the Secret Service targeting Trump's supporters as well. Her Facebook page cannot be accessed now. She wrote on there, it would be easy for the Secret Service to do this. They have the, quote, "perfect opportunity to coordinate and take out every single person that supports Trump." Then she goes on to say, "When I say Trump and all his sycophants need to die, I mean that SH blank blank. I'll die on that hill happily." I hope she's in federal custody. Can we get an analysis of this person, please? And figure out what we're going to do with people that do things like this? That's not normal behavior. Even if you're not following through on it, that is not normal behavior. You need help. You're a danger to society at large or your family, for crying out loud. That's just sick. That's just ridiculous. Let's go to the phones. We got Sean calling in from Kansas City. Hi, Sean. How are you?
What's up, buddy? How are you today?
I'm well. Thank you.
So to touch upon kind of what you briefly spoke about before the commercial break, it was basically the media and the propaganda that they're dishing out. My thoughts were like ABC, NBC, CBS, like that's such a huge outlet for them to reach and brainwash the left to keep them in suit. What if we were to have like a billion, like Elon Musk, for example, buy one of these networks, so that way there could be not necessarily right-wing news, but just non-biased news, you know?
Well, so he's already done that. He's bought something much more valuable, and that's X. X is him buying X was a huge part of everything that's happening now because it truly is a marketplace for ideas. They're not out there canceling people. Like, you know, when Twitter was owned by the other people, they kicked Trump off. They kicked the president of the United States off Twitter. Okay, so you knew what kind of operation they were running. Musk doesn't do that. All the leftists are on there doing all their stuff, and what's happening is every year more and more 13-year-old, 14, 15-year-old kids get phones or whatever and start getting on X, and they see this stuff, and it's an open marketplace for ideas, and we know this about conservatism. We will win the argument when it comes to the issues and the ideas. We win every single time. So that's happening 100%. There, and it's much bigger than ABC. Fox News is owned by Rupert Murdoch. He's a billionaire. It's right-wing. There's all kinds of right-wing media out there. I think maybe we're overemphasizing the value of those platforms, although Trump's not helping. By going on Meet the Press, he's basically given a cookie to NBC. I'm not sure why he did it, but he was great, by the way, and they were fair to him this time, which was remarkable. Right. But I'm not sure why he picks those things and does them, really, to be honest, because their audiences are shrinking.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just feel like there just needs to be a little bit more of less bias if somebody owned one of these large networks to where, you know, when they're watching their reality TV shows that are on, you know, that because their TV's always on that channel, that they're going to eventually start to learn.
Well, yeah.
And I mean, it's 100% true that most people in their 40s and 50s wake up and kind of, not most, but some people wake up and jump to the conservative side. You don't ever see anybody that's conservative jump to the left.
Okay. Thank you. And good call. I appreciate that. Some of what you're talking about now is popular culture, whether it's movies, television, videos, music, whatever it may be, that it seeps into this conscious stream in America that we all follow. We're all one herd that follows the same direction. Well, that's breaking up too. I mean, this comedy thing, they tried to cancel Dave Chappelle a few years ago, and when they did not cancel Dave Chappelle for the things he was saying about transgenders, when that didn't work with him, he planted his flag and said, blank you, you're not getting me, this is comedy, it's free speech, I can say anything I want, it's for a joke, and people have sort of gotten it. Saturday Night Live is starting to do things that are cutting edge. This Shane Gillis dude is out there. I'm going to say this, but he told a story in his comedy bit that he went to the Super Bowl this last year and was half drunk with his buddy and said, look up there, there's Trump up there. Let's see if we can talk our way in there. And he said, his buddy's like, come on, it's Secret Service, everything else. Let's just go up and see. They get up by there, and one of the Secret Service guards goes, "Hey, you're the retard comedian, right?" That's what they call Shane Gillis. The retard. He does bit after bit after bit. He has a relative on the autism spectrum, and he uses that word, which was canceled. You couldn't say the word retard anymore. He's single-handedly bringing it back through comedy. And there's a certain essence to comedy that if we can laugh at something, it's not as bad or as serious as we think. I truly believe this. If we just have a little better sense of humor and understand that sometimes stereotypes are there for a reason, like middle-aged white guy with dad bod. Oh, was I offended? Oh, Patrick Mahomes' dad bod. Who are they talking about? They were talking about Kev. Dad bod, that's me. Ooh, I'm a victim. I'm so offended. Stop, it's funny. Dad jokes. Dad jokes are bad jokes. We all know that, right? I'm not offended. I see the humor in it because I try to tell jokes to my grown kids and they don't think I'm funny at all. I get it. Stereotypes a lot of times are there for a reason. It's okay. We should laugh at ourselves. No matter what it is. Laugh away. Lighten up a little bit, for sure. All right, here is Mark on KCMO Talk Radio. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Kevin. Enjoy the show. Great job as always. I guess my comment was about Jen Psaki. What bothers me is my past life. I was a probation officer, thousands over the course of my career. I interviewed people. What I loved about that job was facts. This is a fact. And then there was a discussion. So what bothers me is you think of people like these media clowns, but you can't just say it's them because what's great about this world is people. People make the world interesting. But when you talk to them, just kick somebody off with a question and just see how they respond. And I used to love to see how people's minds work. But what bothers me is not just the media. They may believe that because you talk to people out on the street and they say these stupid things and they believe these stupid beliefs, and it's real. Sometimes I just want to go out in the country and move away from people because they're stupid.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. That's a pretty good rant. That's a Tirade Tuesday right there. I think he started his call by saying, I love people. They make the world go round. And he finished it by saying, I want to move out in the country and get away from all of them. Is that what just happened? We got a whole 360 there with Mark, I'm pretty sure. That was an awesome rant. Thank you very much. I feel your pain. Here's Phil and Shawnee on Uncanceled KCMO Talk Radio. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Kevin. Great show. Keep up the good work.
Hey, thanks.
God bless you.
Thank you.
I had a question. What do you think? What I kind of think is maybe the administration is waiting till after the midterms to go after corrupt officials, maybe building their case up and not causing too much of a ruckus before the midterms. Then after the midterms, maybe start going after.
Maybe. I think if they had a solid criminal case against any of them, they'd go after them right now. Look, I don't know. These people aren't stupid, these politicians. They skirt the edge on so many things that we've obviously found with Trump. If you find the right court, they can throw you in there, have a trial. They convicted him, non-jury trial, a judge trial, in a civil case, and they convicted him of a felony, thinking, okay, this will keep him from being president. So you clearly can go find something that everybody did and find the right court and convict them. But I don't know anybody out there that really wants that. If there's some Democrats that did some really bad things, if we find out there's ties to Ukraine and, Russiagate and some of these other things, if there's real crimes that were committed through all that, yes, let's go after those people. If there are serious campaign finance crimes that have taken place, let's prosecute those. But just trying to get somebody for political reasons, I just don't want to stoop to their game. That seems low to me.
Oh, I agree, but to me, it doesn't matter what party you belong to. If you commit a crime, you need to be prosecuted.
Right. Okay, so do you think you've ever committed a crime?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Were you prosecuted?
I have been, sure.
Okay.
Speeding tickets, stuff like that.
Okay, all right. But let's say you had a bad tax return one year or something, or if the IRS came after you and studied all your tax returns because you were running for president, they could probably find you something on you. I just don't think that's right. It's not that you intentionally did anything. We've all made terrible mistakes that are probably crimes.
Sure, but a lot of this is pretty blatant from what I I
Okay.
keep reading, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a mistake, an honest mistake, I did one year. I didn't pay my Kansas taxes, and it was just a mistake, and I ended up, you know, once they brought it before me, I paid it off. But
Yeah, and that's an
you
easy
know,
one.
people
You,
make
if you don't pay
mistakes.
your taxes, you can always just pay them. You're not gonna. Thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. And I'm talking about professional crimes. Okay, these people are politicians, and they got a lot of folks around them. And campaign finance is complicated, and there's all kinds of people do this, and they all want, plausible deniability. All these candidates have somebody around them that runs the thing, and they're like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I need plausible deniability for me. Well, that in and of itself should be a crime, because then when bad things happen, you are in charge and that's on you. So I think there's a lot of that in politics, especially at the highest level in Washington, D.C. Both parties are full of it. But if we just want to go prosecuting people because they're a threat to win office and gain control, I don't see it. Who's the one dude that had his girlfriend was a Chinese spy? The congressman from California, Swalwell. Swalwell, is that his name? Swalwell. Now, that's a guy I'd be looking into. I'd be looking into that guy. If he really had a long relationship with a Chinese woman working in America that was known by our forces to be a spy for the Communist Party, I think I'd be checking into that. That would be one to look into. There might be some things out there. 913-408-7957. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. We are brought to you today by our friends at Best Offer KC. Mark and his team at Best Offer are the best in the city at helping you when you need it most. When you're ready to leave the hassle behind with your home, just call Best Offer KC at 816-338-SOLD. That's 816-338-SOLD. Here's the difference. Their offer stands. They've never once reneged on any offer to any homeowner ever. The other guys can't say that. They give high offers, then they go through the house, and a couple weeks later, when you're in an even tougher spot, whether you're moving, relocating, whatever, you got to get out of there, and you got all the stress of the move coming, they pull that offer and say, we're going to give you 65% of what we offered you before. That's just fundamentally wrong. You don't treat people like that. Mark Delatorre and his team at bestofferkc.com have never once done that. They even have options to help you get cash before closing to help you move. They really will work with you, whether this is a divorce, whether it's personal, medical, financial reasons, or just a house that's too difficult to clean the clutter out of and move on from. Bestofferkc.com would love to hear from you. 816-338-SOLD. That's 816-338-SOLD. Bestofferkc.com, helping you leave the hassle behind.
from Leawood to Liberty. It's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
All right, let's check in with Mark Van Parlay here and see how things went over the weekend. Was it Buddy Hield last night had like 9 3-pointers in the NBA or something?
Yeah.
And none of them were your favorite 3-pointer of the weekend, were they?
No. Caitlin Clark had a great one, but that still wasn't my favorite one.
Do tell.
My daughter Brielle hit her first in-game 3-pointer ever. Yes. It was great. She hits him in practice. She hits him at the playground. She finally reared up, did the step back, hit the 3-pointer, and I was just going crazy. And the ref after the game comes to me, "You were her dad, right? That was a good shot."
That's awesome. So it's like a Steph Curry move, right?
Yeah, it was. She would say Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark.
It's a Steph Curry move for sure.
Did they win?
They lost that game. They won their first game.
Okay.
So they split the doubleheader.
We can live with that. We can go with splitting games and hitting 3-pointers. We're all in on that one. No problem at all. So did you see this big crowd Friday night at the rugby match downtown?
I did. I had some friends there.
10,518. I'm sorry, I didn't even know what was going on. Did you?
I didn't until I saw it on social media.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. USA Rugby, the ladies. 10,518, largest crowd ever for a Team USA women's rugby match. Biggest one ever. But not as maybe historic as Sporting Kansas City yesterday at Children's Mercy Park. They won 1-0 over LA Galaxy, which is the defending champion of the league, but they haven't won. LA's 0-8. Like, they're terrible. But they won the whole thing last year. Sporting Kansas City wins 1-0 on an own goal. An own goal, folks, is when the other team puts the ball in their own net by accident. They're playing defense and it ricochets off or something and it goes in, and that means you actually scored a goal for the other team. It's an own goal. So this happened for Sporting, and they won 1-0. That's not that unusual. There have been 1-0 games that have been an own goal. What was unusual is Sporting Kansas City, the entire game, did not take one shot on goal. They're the first team in the history of soccer to win without taking a shot.
That's incredible. Yeah, I looked at the replay of it, and the one that they scored on with the own goal was supposed to be a pass. So it deflected off the guy and went in. They didn't even get a shot. It's crazy.
So I'm not Mr. Badmouth soccer guy. I love the passion of the fans. I know everybody loves soccer. I think it's a great kid sport. Young kids go out, run, get tired, do the whole thing. It's a great sport, period. But it's got the opposite problem of the NBA. The NBA is just nothing but a dizzying array of shot after shot after shot after shot after shot. They play 90 minutes, and Sporting didn't take a shot. There's something wrong with that. And I don't know how to fix it, whether the pitch needs to be smaller, the goal needs to be bigger, something. But I've never thought there's near enough excitement and scoring in outdoor soccer. It's not even close. It doesn't float my boat. What about you?
I could definitely see that. There's action, but there's not scoring, if that makes sense. It's kind of a weird thing to me.
I know, but the action's like the ball's in the middle of the pitch and they're fighting for it.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
Yeah.
But it's so far, the field is too big. I think that's the bottom line, is it's too big. Or most games have one hit the post. If you just made the goal a foot wider all the way around, wouldn't there be more scoring?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Hey, listen. Every time I've ever said that, and I've said this for years, soccer people just they want to do like that Maine high school teacher with Trump. All right, they'll come after you now. You ain't touching their sport. They don't care that Sporting didn't take a shot yesterday. They don't care.
Yeah, they call it the beautiful game. It can also be the ugly game at the same time.
They didn't take a shot. They didn't take a shot on goal.
They have some wins with their new coach, though. Their new manager.
Yeah, 3 out of 5 they won since Vagnon took over. Pretty cool. The Royals are the hottest team in baseball. This is unbelievable what's happening. They just went 5-1 on their road trip. They hit 7 home runs yesterday in the game. That's a team record. And between them and the Orioles, there were 11 home runs in the game. 10 of them were solo home runs. That also is a major league record. How much of it did you see?
I listened to some of it on the radio. We were kind of driving around, so I actually didn't watch any of it, sadly, but it sounded like it was a fun game. That's offense. That's what you want to see.
It was a great, fun game. I didn't watch it all, but I was golfing through the first 5 innings of it. But then saw it, and it was fun. And this doesn't really change anything about the Royals maybe have offensive problems or whatever, because they still have things that they have to address. But, boy, it's good to see them bust out like that and know that they have some guys that can do it. I think we talked a couple weeks ago about how many pop-ups the Royals were hitting and the percentages and the launch angle and stuff, which is way in the weeds of baseball. The Royals were popping up and flying out more than any team in baseball, which means they're just missing. I mean, you're just missing. The difference between a pop-up and a home run is like an eighth of an inch on your bat.
We need to get them the torpedo bats. That's what we need to get them.
I think Salvi's using one, isn't he? Does Salvi go to one?
I'm not sure if Salvi's. I think Isbell used one. I don't know if
it
it's
may have
helping
just been HUD the other day when Salvi homered or rocked one off the wall. He goes, "There's Salvi with his torpedo bat." And maybe he was just using the term, and he doesn't really. So I don't know. But I thought maybe I'd give it a shot.
Up against the White Sox this week, they should be able to hit some more home runs.
Oh, yeah. White Sox are in town. This should be fun. This will be good. Okay, the Kentucky Derby was Saturday. I only have one question. How do the jockeys know where they're going? I mean, it was nothing but mud. Did you see the jockey when it was over?
Oh,
he took his goggles off. They're completely covered. There's no windshield wipers. At some point, like 100 yards into the race, you're done, aren't you? How do you know where you're going?
I've always thought that would be a great invention to get some windshield wipers on some glasses or goggles.
I was waiting for somebody to ask the question. How could you see at the end of this race? Because Sovereignty, the jockey on Sovereignty was I think it was maybe his, it was the trainer's second Derby, but it was his first. And this was a beloved jockey from Venezuela that everybody loves, and he had not won one yet, and he finally won it. And I'm sitting there, I just want to know, because he weaved his way from the middle of the pack out, found an open spot, came up, had the fastest horse, and he won. How did he see it? I got to think mostly it's feel, or you can hear it. I mean, those glasses were completely covered. There's no way.
I always wonder about the horses, too, how they don't clip each other.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like somebody's going to fall down, especially in those muddy conditions.
Man, those muddy conditions. Sovereignty beat journalism. There's something poetic in that, folks.
I thought journalism was making a comeback.
No, journalism's not making a comeback. My journalism degree does not mean what it used to. I can promise you that. Sovereignty over journalism at the Kentucky Derby. And Trump will announce today he's going to have Roger Goodell at the White House. You see this from the NFL? And the owner of the Commanders, that the draft will be in Washington, D.C. next year on the National Mall.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, that's a place for the draft. Have you noticed about this presidency that everything goes back to patriotism in some way? I mean, he's going to do this 250 celebration. We're going to have the World Cup. There's so many things. 4th of July is going to be better than ever before. I think it's cool, man. I think so many things he's doing are really, really cool, and D.C. is a great place for the draft. Bring patriotism back. Great stuff. Congratulations on the three-pointer. Have her keep practicing in the driveway.
Oh, yeah, she will.
Every single day. That's it for Uncanceled. I'm Kevin Kietzman. The Vince Show is coming up next. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on KCMO Talk Radio.